many things are at stake. Okay. Now going forward, we are going to sampling. Now, what is a sample? Now, when you cook, okay. Now, don't tell me you do not know to cook. That's fine. I'm not asking you how to cook anything. Just an example. Okay. You want to know whether the curry that you have made has sufficient salt in it, because salt enhances the taste of food, right? But if you had too much of salt, it spoils the dish. We know that. So now you want to know the taste of the curry that you have prepared, the dish that you have prepared. How do you taste it? Do you take that big ladle and then taste it? Or you take a small teaspoon and then taste it? A small teaspoon. That's sufficient, right? That will say, that will give you the taste of that whole dish in that whole vessel. You don't have to drink the whole vessel, taste the whole vessel to find out the taste, right? Now, what you have done, this whole vessel, you have taken one spoon and then just tasted, small teaspoon, and then and that teaspoon also you have not taken the whole full teaspoon, maybe a little bit in that, maybe half a teaspoon, and then you taste it. The small teaspoon, the quantity in that small teaspoon is the sample. And that whole vessel which has curry is your population. Your focus is on that curry, right? So that's the population. So you cannot, now if you, one more example is, if your mommy wants to know when she's cooking, or if you're cooking, you're cooking potatoes. You want to know the potato is cooked. Supposing you put 10 potatoes in a vessel and you're cooking it. Will you touch all the 10? No. You will use any one, randomly you will just pick up one and then you'll just poke it and see whether it is, soft or not. Because if it is raw, you won't, if you're using a knife or something, it will not go inside, right? It will not cut through the potato. But if it is cooked well, when you, pierce the knife, it goes through and through. So then you know that it is cooked. If it doesn't go properly, that means it's still yet to cook, right? So the whole pot of potatoes, the 10 potatoes that you have, is the population. And the one potato that you just choose to just see whether it is cooked or not is your sample. I hope you understand what is population and sample. So this is the image that I found, and I felt that is easily helping you to understand what is population and what is sample. It's not possible for us to use the whole population. So we choose a little bit, identify, but then identification is very important. Otherwise, it leads to those research error, which I just spoke about a little while ago. Okay. So this is the concept of sampling. Now, how do you go about sample? This is sample. This is sample. This is population. And this is the sample. Okay. You're taking one piece. So these look like human beings, but supposing they say all are potatoes, you're taking one potato and testing, that potato is a sample. Okay. Yeah. Now coming to sampling. What is a sample? A sampling. Now, can you see here? This is another very nice, image. Let's see if I can make it a little bigger. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see this? The one in green is your target population. Now, I'll give you an example. From this target population, you're taking a sampling frame. From the sampling frame, you're taking a sample, and that is the sample that you're using for your study. Now, let me give you an example. Now, I want to know how many people like Activa scooter or anything. Okay, I just randomly took that. Again, I'm not promoting any product or service, just an example. So I want to know how many people prefer Activa. All people having, sorry, let me change that. Let us say women who, or let us say students, undergraduate students who prefer to take up MBA for their higher education. Okay. So who is my population, target population? I already mentioned. So they are the BCom, BBA, BSc, all these are eligible to take up MBA, right? So all that is my target population, all the graduates, because for pursuing your MBA, what you require is your graduation. Minimum education is graduation. You can do your MA, you can do your MCom and then come and do your MBA. That is fine. But your minimum qualification is a degree, right? So if I want to know how many students prefer to take up higher education in the MBA stream, who is my target population? All the degree holders, right? All the students who are pursuing their BBA, BCom, all that. That is my target population. The one which you see in green, all of them there are the degree holders. Now, there may be thousands, there may be lakhs of students, because nowadays everybody understands the importance of education and they're going for higher education as well. So there are lakhs of students. Can you go meet all of them to collect information? Because the more information you collect, the more authentic your data becomes. That is true. But it doesn't make any sense asking each and everyone. Not necessary. Right? Like I told you, you have a pot full of curry and you want to know whether the curry tastes good or not. Does it require salt? Does it require less salt, or more salt, or whether it is sufficient? How do you perfect? How do you identify that? You just take a spoon. You don't take a whole ladle or you pour it into a glass and drink. No, you just take a little bit and taste. Right? So that this pot, that vessel full of curry is your target population. From that, your spoon, you're taking a little bit. That is your sampling frame. And then from the sampling frame, you're just testing. Or let me put it this way. You want to know whether the rice is cooked. Okay, this whole pot is the rice. You take 1 spoon of rice. Okay, you take a few grains of rice. You don't touch all the grains in your spoon. You touch maybe 1 or 2. That is your sample. Okay. This is what we call as sampling. This is called as sampling. Now, when you're saying sampling, you should know the right person to choose. That is the very crucial. If you are not able to identify the right sample, then again, there's a lot of error that happens. However well you do your analysis, your statistical analysis, whatever you do, experimental analysis, or whatever cause and effect you do, anything, the outcome, though the process, the second part process, everything is correct. But your selection of the sample, if it is wrong, then the rest automatically is, though it is done correctly, it is wrong. Okay. Let's move further. Yeah. Now, what is the sampling design? We had this research design process. Now, you understood what is sample, right? Sampling also you understood. Now, let's go to sampling design process. Now, when I say process, it has to happen in that order only. Okay. You can't mix it. It has to be in the same order. Firstly, you're going to define the population. This is what we did here, right? We went here. We defined the population. What is the population? All the BCom, BBA degree students. I've defined the population. After that, what did I do? I determined the sampling frame. So what is the sampling frame that I taken? Past students who have graduated or who are yet in the final year. Right? I can take up students who have just graduated or the students who are now just entered into the final year. I designed out of that. So these are all degree holders. Out of degree holders, I want only those who are passed, cleared, or I do not want the ones who have passed or graduated last year. I want those who are studying now. Then select the sampling technique. What is the technique that I'm going to use? So in techniques, there are different techniques, it could be judgmental sampling or snowball sampling, probability and non-probability sampling. You have different methods. So these are called as techniques. Okay. So We are going to select the sampling technique, and then you will determine the size. How many people do I have to select? Now, when I'm saying how many people to select, an example is, say, supposing in your class you have 60 students, okay, classmates, the 60 classmates, and your teacher wants to know, your faculty wants to know whether, you like to have a tour to Bangalore, or you want to go to Goa. You have two options. So they're not sure, that your class teacher is not very sure, your faculty is not sure whether to decide on going to Bangalore or whether to decide to go to Goa. So then what does she do? He or she, your professor will call, best ways to ask the students which place you like, and then majority say Bangalore, then we go to Bangalore. Majority say Goa, then we discard Bangalore and we go to Goa. Okay, I'm just giving you an instance to tell you about determining the sample size. I told you that there are 60 students in your class. How many students should your professor ask to determine whether, to decide whether they should go to Bangalore or Goa? Can you answer? Sorry. How many?
Around 10 or 20.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Can you ask only 3 of them?
Oh.
Yeah, you're right. So, by say supposing those 3 don't like to go, can I decide that the whole class doesn't like to go? Wrong, no? So that is why you said 10 or 20. 20 is a good number. So you need not ask all the 60. Not necessary. You can ask those 20 or 25. Yeah, that's a good number. And they will tell you, yeah, among us, so out of the 20, if 15 say Goa, then you understand that majority prefer to go to Goa. Yeah, the decision will be correct. But if I take only 3, or if I ask only 5 of them, no, the decision will not be correct. Okay, so that is the meaning of determining the sample size. Then you are executing the sampling process. What is the sampling process? How many I should, once you have decided the sample size, then from there, how am I going to ask them? So once you decide, it's like this. I said students, example of students. So what I can do is, I know that I don't have to be very formal, give them in writing, and maybe finally I may have to do that, because there may be students who later on say, no, I never said Goa, I wanted Bangalore, and suddenly you said, so I'm not coming. So maybe you need to take some kind of a proof from them, and then you make them read. That's different. But when I'm talking about executing the process, when you know students, then you know in what way you need to approach them and speak to them. See now, some time back, through my student, we did a study on identifying whether we met some BD workers. They are given the tobacco leaves. This was quite a very long time back. Tobacco leaves, because this was somewhere in the year 2014, okay, when the study was done, because by then there was a lot of awareness happening, that before that time, maybe some 30 years ago, smoking was very common. People would smoke. You would sit on in a train, you would sit in a bus, and you'll find people next to you smoking very openly. And then the government brought in a ban because of passive smokers. You understand, who are passive smokers. So if you're not smoking, you're not a smoker. But if somebody in that room or that place smokes, we are equally, when we inhale that, we are equally prone to getting all the ailments that smoker has. So we are called as passive smokers. So once this happened and they found a lot of health hazards happening, though that is giving the exchequer a lot of money, the health of the citizens is also important. So keeping that in mind, they started a lot of awareness was thrown in, and it was decided that by the year 2019 there should be a total ban. A total ban means, of course, you have people smoking, but you don't find them smoking openly. In companies, you may have a room for these people to go smoke and come. In hotels, there'll be a place where they can go smoke and come, but you don't find people openly smoking now. Maybe some boys, and yeah, they are people who are addicted or like that, maybe, but you don't find them openly, like it was before. So it was in 2014 that we wanted to do a study. So there was a place in Mysore. There is a place in Mysore where the BD workers were, they all come in that area. They stay in that area. So this girl had gone and collected the data. That we had gone there to collect the data. What our objective was to find out that in case this closes down, this BD rolling the BDs, because they get this tobacco leaves and then they have a knack of rolling it and then tying it up, and they get the order in the morning. In the morning they'll get all these leaves, and then by evening they roll these BDs and then they put it into bundles, and then they get money for that. So the benefit is most of almost everybody, I can say, are not much educated, and they come from very low income families, and this is a since they don't have skill, they feel that instead of going door to door and working in homes, it is better for them to sit at home, and they all sit together in a circle, and all they it's sometimes in a slum area also, where they all finish their work and then they come all sit together and they talk and gossip, and then they do roll these BDs. Another interesting thing is, in India we feel that only the poor smoke BDs and the rich and the posh smoke cigarettes, right? But in Japan, BDs are very expensive. They feel that it is handmade, and somehow it's more expensive there. Anyway, now all that is gone. So we went to do a study to find out whether these women wish to, what will they do if this BD rolling is stopped. And there were many who could not answer or did not want to answer because their mother-in-law was there. So they didn't want to say that I don't like to roll BD. Or we asked whether you want your children also to do the same thing. They would look into their mother-in-law, or they would not give us a proper answer because there was somebody and they did feel proper to give the answers correctly. So we could sort of sense that. So what we did was we called one of our another classmate of my student who belonged to that community, and then we joined her, and then I didn't go. Because then they feel that some officer has come and they're asking questions. So we say this girl and her classmate, they went, they spoke in their language, and they collected the information. So we were able to cross question them in different ways, not direct questions. We asked them indirect questions, and that helped us to get the information that we required. And of course, the paper got a best paper award, and my student now is working in the Gulf, and she's doing very well there. She completed her research also. That time she was a student, but this was not a part of her research study. She just did it because of a conference, and then she got interested in research, and she's doing extremely well. So that apart, that was just a small break here, but I'm just telling you how executing the sampling process. Once you identify who are your respondents, you should know how to speak to them to collect the information. Supposing it is something like small kids, or the those with 5 years, 7 years and all, they may not be able to answer. Don't tell me. You may say, yeah, children kids are very smart now. Yeah, they are smart, I agree. But what I say is, when you are doing a study and you want to give them an answer, sometimes just asking questions might not be sufficient. It may be important for you to observe as well. So executing the sampling process means you're identifying them and then giving. Sometimes you may have to give some reward to get chocolate or something like that to make them answer your question. Okay, all this matters, observation and that. So this is executing the sampling process. So yeah, this is the sampling design process. As you can see, define the population, then determine the sampling frame, then determine the sampling. Just see whether I can make it bigger. Define the population, determine the sampling frame, determine sampling procedure. So procedure, that is what I said, probability sampling and non-probability sampling. So probability sampling could be simple random. There are 5 types, but here in this chart I can find only 3. So simple random sampling, stratified or cluster sampling. And when it comes to non-probability sampling, it could be convenience, judgmental, quota sampling, those kind. Once you determine the sampling procedure, then you determine the appropriate size, like how many people, like you said, around 20 or 25 of your classmates, to know whether they prefer, which place they prefer to go. So you determine the appropriate sample size and then you execute the sampling design. Okay, so this is the procedure that you need to follow. Then this is, I'm getting into the next part, that is what is probability sampling and non-probability sampling. These are the 5 types. So when you're talking about non-probability sampling, there's not the probability. Instead of getting into detail, let me go to this. I think this would be sufficient for you. So sampling methods could be probability or non-probability. I put it in 2 different colors, so it's easy for you to understand. If you're talking about non-probability sampling, it could be quota sampling. It could be convenient. Quota means you're putting it into different, quotas. I'll go to that later. Convenience sampling, or it could be judgmental sampling, or it could be snowball sampling. If it is probability sampling, it could be restricted sampling, or you call it as systematic sampling as well, or unrestricted sampling, or random sampling. That's the most general term that we use. Then stratified sampling, cluster sampling, or multi-stage sampling. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in terms of images, so it's easy to remember as well. So in probability sampling, you see how it is. You can see this quota sampling, how it is. So how is this quota sampling? See here, I've taken one from here, one from here. Each one represented by a different. Say supposing I want to know which specialization. Okay, MBA specialization students prefer. I go to 4 colleges in Pune. From one college, I pick 10 students. Another college, I pick 10 students. Another college, I pick 10 students. Okay. So I've taken quota from different areas in, what do you say, from your place, Pune. And then I do a study. And that will give me a better answer. Instead of using only one university, I'm using 3 or 4 universities. This is quota sampling. Okay. The second one here is judgment. It's not first, second, third, okay? There's no order here. But these all come under non-sampling, non-probability sampling. Second one is convenience sampling. What is convenience? Now, supposing I want to know about working women, people working in banks, women working in banks. Instead of going to the bus stand or the railway station, and then asking each woman, are you working in a bank? Can you answer my question? Which is the best way for me? Most convenient is going to a bank, and then all the women there, I can whoever is willing to speak to me, I can call them, request them to answer. This is convenience sampling. Yeah, okay, so this is, you got it. It's easy for me to get the right kind of person for me. Next is judgmental sampling. In case of judgment sampling, it is like convenience, but you have a condition before you decide on whom you want to select as your sample. That is judgmental sampling. Now, say supposing I want to speak to students who are pursuing their MSW, Masters in Social Work. Okay, so supposing I want to speak to those students, and they should be girls. In such case, convenience is where I go to an institute where they are, having this course, MSW course, right? That is convenience for me. But then when I go there, what do? I am looking for, or let me put it a little more further, I'm looking for final year students. So what I'm doing, convenience is going to that college, that institution or university, to that particular department. So judgmental, I'm judging whether it is MSW department, I'm going there. Once I go there, what I'm going to do is I'm asking, are you in the final year? Okay, then please answer my question. Final year, no. Then I go here. Yeah, final year. See, judgmental. I have some condition which, if I feel that the respondent fulfills, only then I include that person into my, frame. This is judgmental sampling. And snowball sampling. So as you can see, in some cases, it's difficult for me to get the right kind of sample because maybe they don't like to disclose or something like that. So in such a case, what do I do is similar person. I request one person, he will refer me to some more people. This person will refer me to some more people and so on. This is called snowball. The reason why it is called snowball is because, the snowball, when you throw a small snow, you make it into a ball and you throw it. When it rolls on the snow, when it reaches, you throw it from a hillock or something like that. The small hillock, the small ball that falls, as it rolls, it gathers snow and it becomes big. That's why it's called a snowball. Okay, so snowball. So it starts with one person and it ends with so many. That's why it's called a snowball sampling. Now coming to the next one. Oh, sorry. This is the probability sampling. So I hope you understood non-probability sampling. Let's go to probability sampling. So in probability sampling, you have simple random sampling. So you have one set of people and you simply pick them. Okay, you come, this is, and then you decide, and then you randomly just pick them. This is simple random sampling. If it is systematic sampling, you want to prove, or you have to justify why did you choose these people. So you can say, I had this whole set of people and I took the fifth person from each class. So to ensure that everybody is included. So this is systematic sampling. As you can see after two, after the second person, then after two, then after two. So here it is 2, doesn't mean it should be 2. It could be after 10, it could be after 100, whatever. You're following some system. That is systematic sample. System of choosing your respondent. That is systematic sampling. What is stratified sampling? See, from each strata. That means you're taking it from one particular. Now you're taking a male first semester, somebody from second semester, somebody from third semester. You're taking 2 from the fourth semester. This is a stratified sampling. And what's a cluster sampling? One cluster. Cluster means people having similar, backgrounds or mindset or something like that. Cluster. They belong to one section. You're calling them. You're selecting them for your study. This is a cluster sample. And so here you can see. So when you're talking of multi-stage sampling, okay, this is a multi-stage sampling. Say supposing, for example, the country is India. This is the total population. You need not go to all the states to collect the information until and unless it is something to do with culture or tradition or something like that. Okay, but otherwise it is not necessary. So total population, you made the first stage could be the states. The second, from you identify 2-3 states. So Maharashtra, maybe Kerala, Karnataka. Okay, 3 states. Then in from those states you identify. You don't go to the whole states and do it. What do? You select in those states. In Maharashtra, you may take a district. So supposing in Maharashtra you choose Pune, in Karnataka you choose Bangalore, and in Kerala or Chennai in Tamil Nadu you choose Chennai. So from states you have chosen district. From district you choose a taluk. From taluk you choose households, and then you choose individuals. That is where your final sample is. Okay, so this will help in doing this kind of study, multi-stage sampling. That is called as multi-stage sampling. Now, what are the characteristics of a good sample? A good sample is it will give a true representation of the whole population. So when the population is correctly identified, as I told you, that's very important, because it sets right all the effort. Otherwise, the efforts that you put, is all going to waste. If you identify the right sample, you're getting the right data. When you get the right data, you are able to do the analysis and come up with the right solution to solve your problem. Okay, so a good sample is the true representative of the population. Secondly, there should be homogeneity. That means the unit included in a sample must be in the likeness of other units. So it should not be like, if I told you I'm asking the MSW students, I gave an example a little while ago. So if I'm choosing MSW student, just to make it convenient, I'll ask an MBA student, you're almost, postgraduate. So I think you can also answer. No, there is no homogeneity, because though their age is the same, maybe they come from the same culture, the same university, the mindset is similar, but still the way of thinking, the approach can be very different. Okay, so homogeneity should be there. So when you're taking a sample with an objective, you should ensure that the objective is in the likeness of all the sample that you have chosen. That is called as homogeneity. Adequacy, sufficient number, like you said, 20 students. So that should be adequate number. Independence. So each of them should be free to be chosen. It should not be, I've chosen because I have no other option. No. Okay. And then they should be representatives of that population. So if I'm choosing MSW students, then all of them should be from the MSW background only. Then economical in terms of time and money. So yeah, that is also important. You should ensure that just because you're doing a research doesn't mean that you just have to spend money. It should be economical in terms, and also time, you should work smartly. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to spend time and money. You should be economical with both. And the data should be highly reliable. They should be so sure that the information that you're collecting is going to be correct. Okay, that is the meaning of high level of reliability. I just have one more slide before I conclude. No, I think this is gone to the, yeah. The next is, this I'll be following up in the next class. This is the last slide. So there are 6 types of tools to gather information. So now you have understood the sample, and you've identified how to identify a good study for identify a good sample. So now there are different ways. So when I say sample, obviously I think you understand this is primary method of data collection. So what are the ways in which I can do that? Collect data through primary. One is, it's not in an order, okay? You can put it in any order you want, but these are the ways in which you can do. One is through a survey, that is, you're going meeting people and collecting information, or it could be focus group. You have only one particular group, self-help groups. You call all those women and then you speak to them. This is one group. MBA HR students, that's a focus group. Or only MBA students, that's also focus group. Okay, focus group. Then experimentation, that is also one way of a tool for collecting data. Or it could be through interviews, it could be through field observation. What is field observation? Not going to the field. Field observation means that you're going out, meeting people, observing them, and then making a note. Maybe it could include interview and observation also. Okay. It need not be only observation. It could be interview and observation as well. And it could be, or it could be existing data. So you can collect existing data and then you can analyze that, and that can be interpreted. Like you can use financial data, or you can use you know uh, uh, when you're doing a longitudinal study. I just told you what's a longitudinal study. The same respondents, you're studying them maybe weekly, experimenting them, and studying about them every week, the same set. Okay, it should not be different. So if you're doing that, once you do it for a particular period, you can almost predict what can be the next, right? So that time you are using this existing data. You already have the data, so through that you are able to predict what can happen in future. So this is about the 6 types of empirical tools to gather information. I just go back. So this is how I have classes. I just once I finish the class, I just have a quick recap, or I just touch upon the points. See, this is what we covered. This is fundamentals of research methodology. Just a minute, I'll just close the window because there's a disturbance. Sorry. So these are the points that I covered today. Fundamentals of research and methodology, introduction to research, importance of research. Then we covered types of business research, not necessarily in the same line, but I've covered all these things. I told you about types of research and approaches. Yeah, if I'm talking about qualitative and quantitative, I think I didn't touch upon that, but I told you what is exploratory, descriptive, and causal. You saw the diagram which I showed. This qualitative and quantitative, why I did not actually speak to you about, is because as social scientists, we are all social scientists. When we do a study, we are always focusing on society, on people. Okay, whether it is marketing or HR